Welcome to Houston Sports Talk with your host, Robert Land.
Thanks for checking into the best Houston sports podcast, part of the National Bleav Network. And joining me to talk about the hottest team in the NBA is Rockets analyst and our friend Bryson, a.k.a. Red Nation Blogga. Check out his YouTube channel and find him on X at Red Nation Blogga. Good to see you, Bryson. And hey, we knew they had to take care of business during this stretch without Amen Thompson. What's impressed you in the win streak so far?
What's impressed me in the win streak is, one, I said it on an episode on my show yesterday. I said beating the teams that you have to beat, regardless of their record, and not dropping games is important to winning 50 games, to sustaining good habits. You playing your best ball going into the playoffs, right? And so that's been impressive for me. And the other thing is just Jalen Green during the win streak as well. And honestly, just the team in its totality. They're missing Amen Thompson. Guys have been in and out of the lineup. Sometimes Tari Eason isn't playing back-to-backs, or Steven Adams, and they're still finding ways to get it done. That's really what's impressed me through this win streak, through this 8-game win streak. I know the competition hasn't been the best, but shorthanded or not, the Houston Rockets are going out there. They're doing what they have to do, and they're showing the ability to take care of business.
I want to get into Jalen Green a little bit more, but I hear and see some Rockets fans getting frustrated. This team plays down to their opponents, but fans need to start looking around at other NBA scores. Just look around the league, because good teams ease up when they're facing bad ones all the time. Even Cleveland, who's had a historically great season, lost to the Sixers. Boston did too, the team that we just beat, and to the Bulls and Raptors as well. Boston lost to those two teams also. Sometimes, Bryson, I feel like I need to teach a course on the NBA. Just look, you can't overreact to some scrubs, one great YouTube dunk, and you can't overreact to one game in the NBA. It's just like this one game is one play, you know?
You bring up the Sixers game. That same night, I think Golden State lost to Denver that didn't play Jokic and Jamal Murray. The Minnesota Timberwolves lost to, I can't remember, but they lost to a team that they should not have lost to, that was missing guys or that just stunk. You know, so this happens in the NBA. Guys play down to the competition. Houston, luckily, was just able to eke out a game versus the Philadelphia 76ers, where Quentin Grimes had 46 points. That's the nature of the business. You try playing basketball at a high level and having the focus for an 82-game season, especially when your competition may not be up to par. Things are going to happen.
Guys get sick, guys get tired. You know, this is life, man. I know everybody thinks these guys are superhuman, but it's life, and that's the way you got to look at it. You talked about Jalen just a couple of minutes ago, and every few weeks we just got to do a Jalen check-in.
Correct.
He's usually either hot or cold.
Yeah.
But is it more than a streak if you've been hot for nearly 3 months? Because since December 26th, this is 41 games, half a season now. He's shooting 38.3% from three. What's caught your eye about what he's doing right now?
The main thing for me with Jalen Green is I didn't like, for example, I'll give you an example. So last March, when the Rockets went on that crazy win streak, he averaged 28 points per game, 49% shooting from the field, 41% from three on 10 attempts. That type of stuff I kind of don't like to see from Jalen Green, because I know that that's not sustainable. If that's the Jalen Green that we're going to get, we're talking about an MVP candidate. We're talking about a first-team All-NBA team, and we're shifting the expectations of the Houston Rockets. But that's not sustainable. I think what me and you talked about last episode, and what a lot of people in the community have been talking about, is Jalen cutting out the low lows. I think during this stretch of games, the 8 games, he's leading the team in scoring at 22 points per game, only on 41% from the field. The 3 ball on 10 attempts is at, again, during the 8-game win streak, 34.6%. I'm going to round up and say that's 35% on 10 attempts. He's 81% from the free throw line. One of the things that's impressed me is the assists. His assists are now at 6 a game. The fact that he's not at 49% from the field, he's not at 42% from three in this month of March, and he's still finding ways to be effective scoring the ball, to be an effective playmaker. He's still, working on the turnovers and working on not turning over the ball so much. The fact that he's getting better with that, it shows me that he's turning a corner as a quality player. You know what I mean? Because those unsustainable stretches that he has, where we usually call March Jalen, I don't like those stretches because I know it's not sustainable. You know what I mean?
What's impressed me most is not the scoring. the last 7 games, he's averaging 7 rebounds, which is what I have said a million times. When he consistently fills up the box score in a non-scoring stat, when that starts to happen, whether it's assist or rebounds, that's the final step to being an all-star for him, Bryson.
This is what you like to see from Jalen Green. And like I say, this is just the sustainability that you want to see. When we talk about consistency, the efficiency that he was doing last March is just not sustainable. I don't think that that's a realistic thing for him at this point right now. But if he could continue to, if the Houston Rockets can continue to stack wins, and he can continue to do this where he's going out there and getting you 24, 26, 29 on a nightly basis, then that's when you have a player that's worth talking about and worth paying attention to. And that's how I know he's turned the corner.
The other part, and this has to do with rebounds and what we're talking about is like, hey, I want to see an impact on the game from him on a consistent basis during a game. I don't want to see those moments where, hey, it's been 5 minutes. Is Jalen on the court? Oh, he is on the court. I haven't noticed him, Bryson. Where is he at?
Yeah, it was like that a lot his first 2 seasons. It was like a part of that was just because of who the Rockets had a point guard, and everybody goes out there and eats damn the game plan. And, and I know that that's kind of what the offense is now, but it's way more structured than that. You have a coach that'll hold you accountable, and he'll sit you down if you're not doing what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, I've always said Jalen is a shooting guard, meaning he's going to be the guy that goes out there and fills up the scoring, but he's not necessarily looking to pass. I've been proven wrong with that. He's turned the corner. He's facilitating more. His vision is upgraded. His passing ability is upgraded. His reads have upgraded. I'm happy with Jalen Green as a player right now. I really do feel like he's genuinely turned the corner, and I'm excited to see what he does down the stretch as the schedule gets harder.
The only thing that's driving me absolutely up the wall with him, there's turnovers always with him, but the thing that really drives me crazy beyond the turnovers, and he's going to have turnovers. I mean, if you're going to get the best defensive player and you're going to have the ball in your hands a lot in critical situations, but there are many times I'm still seeing where he's just not giving that help defense off a guy. So somebody will take a straight line to the basket, and whether it's Şengün or Jabbar, somebody gets beat, just a little bit. And you see Jalen, and he's halfway down the baseline and he won't commit to go. You can't give up wide open layups. You have to contest it. You have to come off your guy. And he's one of those that, like, this has been a consistent issue with him over the years where I don't know if it's, he doesn't want to get in foul trouble, or, he just doesn't feel like he can do anything, but you got to be aggressive there and see if you can, you're one of the elite athletes in the NBA. At least try to jump and block the shot from behind, the stuff that we see that Tari and Amen do all the time.
In the Sixers game, I seen some like Şengün. We know Ime went small, but it looked like it was some communication issues where Jalen was supposed to pick up the wide open 3-point shooter. And we know that the Sixers were just shooting the skin off the ball that game. But it looked like there were times where it was Jalen's assignment and Jalen failed to switch, or he blew up the rotation, or whatever the case may be. And it kind of looked like Şengün did it. But it's like, no, Şengün is switching and you didn't fully switch on his man. So now it's looking like Şengün is too slow-footed to get out there and put a hand up. But in reality, that was your switch, and you kind of you messed that exchange up. So Ime went small. He opted to go small. He opted to have a switch everything type of style. But I do think that in that game specifically, I saw points in the game where Jalen Green was messing up switches. I'm not going to lie. So I do agree with you with the help defense. And I just said that word I told you I didn't want to say. That's funny. It's so funny.
Well, get in the comments, guys. We want to hear what you think about how Jalen's playing. And we're going to talk Tari, Steven Adams, and hit on the Rockets shooting guru in a sec. But before we roll on, I'm pumped because March Madness is here and every game's a shot to make a little extra cash. My bookies bet and get is back to sweeten the deal. Place a cash bet on March Madness and get a surprise reward. Hey, free bets, cash back, bonus chips. You never know what's coming next. And maybe it's a number 1 seed rolling. Come on, Cougs. Or an underdog shocking the world. Smart bettors know the real money is made one game at a time. You can sign up right now. I'll put the link in the description with the promo code MM50. You can boost your bankroll with a deposit bonus designed to help you make the most of your money. If you don't want a bonus, that's okay too. Just make sure to let them know we sent you. Bet on every game, anytime, from anywhere, only with MyBookie. All right, Bryson. Steven Adams, man, his impact on winning is crazy. Perfect example. Let's go to the Magic game Wednesday. The Rockets won by 8, but they were plus 22 with Adams on the floor. Over the Rockets' last 50 games, they're plus 145 in Stevens' 538 minutes. He would be blowing the rest of the team away if his minutes weren't anywhere close to the starter minutes and the guys who were getting the regular, 30 minutes a game. He'd be first on the Rockets by a mile. And as we all know, Bryson, the double big lineup, insane, working great. And if teams slightly adjust to it in the playoffs, I don't care. Isn't re-signing Adams the biggest in-house move of the offseason for the Rockets?
Oh, man, I don't know if I agree with that one. The biggest in-signing move? I don't.
In-house, like in-house.
In-house.
Not a big fish trade,
not a trade or free agency signing. I get that. I don't think it's like a must, but I do like Adams' impact to the team. I do think it's important. I do like the versatility that it gives us. I do like that it gives us another dynamic, something else to throw out there. But I don't think that it's a must. I'm just going to say that. I think that Steven Adams, what he does is very important. The second chance opportunities, how he could just always, even if he don't get rebounds, he's going to get that foul where the referees point to the ground and say, nope, that's staying here. That's giving the Rockets extra possession. I do think that that's important. But again, I'm going to sound hypocritical. I don't think it's a must that they re-sign Steven Adams. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong.
I don't know if anybody's watching as closely as I am with Steven Adams, but man, if you watch the Rockets, we're basically even with a lot of these bad teams and the non-Steven Adams minutes. Take a look at the 76ers game. That was the game they had to fight tooth and nail. They had to go into overtime. Steven Adams didn't play. Now, the 1 second that he played was they were trying to get that rebound. And guess what? Three guys tried to block him out or get in his way. And so Şengün had an easy tip back. And that was the key for them going into overtime.
I cannot fight that argument at all. You just killed everything I just said. But I only thing that I was stuck on when I saw the question was, is it a must? You know what I mean? And as of now, I don't know. In the playoffs, when we see when we see what teams throw out there and everything like that, maybe my opinion will change. And I know a lot of this is this new revelation and what we've seen is with the double big lineup, and that's important because it frees up Şengün. And we first saw it during the Dallas Mavericks game when the Rockets just came back and we could see the impact. My only thing with Steven Adams, and I kind of been saying it all year, is like, I don't like when Ime throws him out there against a 5 that can shoot and spread the floor. And I don't like it when he sees small ball lineup minutes. So, again, if I'm proven wrong in the playoffs and Steven Adams, it just shifts the game the complete other way in the Rockets' favor, I will change my opinion on this. But as of right now, I do not think it's a must, just to answer the question.
I will also point this out. Even if it doesn't work in the playoffs, even if you go, I don't know if this is going to work in the playoffs, but it didn't really work. What he does in the regular season, the regular season to get you there matters. And having a guy like him, if you could get him on, a salary that was somewhere around what he's getting right now, unless somebody blows the Rockets out. I just feel like you get him on that sort of salary, man, he's such a deal. And what a locker room guy he is too. Just the perfect guy, just happy-go-lucky. He's like if Boban could actually play. He's fun.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that right there is understated. You can't, and I would like him back. I'm not saying that I don't want him back. You know what I'm saying? It's just the question was must. You know what I mean? But right. I do think that what you're saying is important. I don't think any team is going to throw a crazy deal out there for him. I really don't. A lot of teams like pick and roll threats. Adams is not your traditional pick and roll. He's not a lob threat. The stuff that he does is very you have to know what you're watching. You know what I mean? And that's the type of impact that he has, which teams, they don't fall for the highlights. They look at the game. So I think some teams might have interest in him, but I don't think it's going to be enough, and I don't think they're going to throw enough money for where Houston can't bring him back for another 1 year or another 2 years, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I just think back also to the Rockets draft, and when they were talking about Donovan Clingan, I was like, man, I'd love to get him in here and be tutored by Steven Adams, because what he's good at is kind of what Steven Adams is good. And I love what I've seen from Clingan when I've watched him with the Blazers this year.
I agree.
You know, those guys are, man, they're a lot harder to find than you would think they would be. You know, there's a lot of big guys in the NBA, but what Steven Adams knows how to do, it's really some incredibly cool stuff. And his size is a part of it, but you know, you have to know how to use the size, and he just does all these little, and his passing, you know, the guys will make cuts, and, you know, we've seen those passes that he makes to Jalen cutting to the basket, and some of the other guys. I love watching him play. I just get so excited when he's out on the floor.
Yeah, I actually wanted the Rockets to draft Donovan Clingan too, over Reed Sheppard. The game, not the in-season tournament game that they played the Blazers when they blew them out, but the game after that one, it was like a regular season game. Clingan gave Sengun some trouble. He really did. His size, you know, the length, he gave Sengun some trouble. So I do see the flashes of what Clingan can be. You know, I think Clingan is a little bit ahead of Zach Edey right now, and I like Zach Edey too. So I do see the vision in what you were seeing with Clingan being a mentee of Steven Adams for sure.
Okay, let's switch gears, because I want to talk a little bit about the Rockets shooting. When the Rockets hired Ime Udoka, there was some chatter about assistant Ben Sullivan as the, you know, they always call these guys the shooting guru guys, and the team doesn't like calling him their shot doctor. But for fun, let's look at the numbers a little bit. Bryson, the Rockets are 23rd in three-point shooting this year, 24th in field goal percentage, and last in free throw percentage. It all sounds not good, but Dylan's three-point shooting is up 4% this season. He's been pretty good as a shooter with the Rockets. Really Ahmed's made huge strides. You know, Ahmed's has become a really good corner three-point shooter, and you could see the progress he's made in just a year with the Rockets. And we just hit on Jalen's jump recently. You know, now it's not so good for Jabari and Sengun. You're not seeing the improvement there. What do you think about the Rockets, quote unquote, shooting coach and how they're coaching these guys in that area?
Yeah, all the stats that you just said, I was going to read off had I went first, like every single stat. So I don't see this shooting guru, this shot doctor. Maybe he's a shot doctor for poor shooters, and he turns mid shooters or poor shooters into quality shooters. But Jabari Smith and Reed Sheppard were touted as one of the reasons why they got drafted where they got drafted was because of the shooting. And since Stephen Silas was here and up till today's date, I haven't seen much improvement in Jabari Smith's shooting percentages. You know, he's probably at like 35, 36%. I didn't even look. I'm just guessing. You know what I mean? And I think that since he's been in this little slump he's been in every once in a while, it might be lower than that. Reed Sheppard,
it's around 35, I think. I think it's around 35 for his career too. It's about the same for the, you know,
correct.
If you look, there hasn't been much of a variation there.
Correct. And he was 43% his freshman year at Auburn. And then Reed Sheppard was even higher than that in Kentucky. He was like 50% or so from three, from what I saw, from what I remember. And that hasn't translated. So I don't know if Ben Sullivan can get the Amen Thompsons of the world and the Dylan Brooks of the world, maybe the Jalen Greens of the world, to be like more consistent shooters. But guys that are actually supposed to be the shooters on this team are not shooting well. So I don't buy into that at all. I really don't.
And I remember it was the off season before Dylan came here. The summer he played for Team Canada, and there was a guy that was helping him that was not Ben Sullivan, I believe. So that guy might have played a key role with Dylan. But I have noticed, you know, Dylan, the way he gets the ball up, it's much quicker. There's much less motion to his action. And, you know, that's something that, you know, maybe the Rockets have shown him. I don't know. It's hard to know without being in the room and stuff like that. But yeah, the free throw shooting with Sengun, that seems like just something that shouldn't be hard to work on for a shooting coach. You know, and Sengun's free throw percentage has gotten worse this year. I don't know what's going on with that, because, you know, he should be improving a little bit year in and year out. Amen's free throw shooting is about what it was last year. It's pretty similar. But I mean, that's why the Rockets are struggling so much with their free throw shooting is because look, I'm going to throw this at you, Bryson. Şengün and Amen, they kind of drag everything down when you talk about their bad free throw shooting because Jalen, Dylan, Jabari, Fred, Holiday, Uncle Jeff, they're all above 80%. But Bryson, Şengün, and Amen have shot 37% of all the team's free throws. So they just kind of pull everybody down by being so poor at it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I said like that narrative, I'm not buying into. I know I have been seeing that on the timeline. I'm not trying to make Ben Sullivan, be anti Ben Sullivan. I'm not anti him. You know what I mean? But just in regards to what he is supposed to be advertised as and the result that I'm seeing, I don't see it. I don't see it. Maybe, Jabari is young still. Reed Shepherd is a rookie. But those guys are supposed to be 1A and 1B on this team in terms of shooting. That's why they were drafted here. So where's it at? That's my take on it.
Ben is, I'm sure, doing a ton of other things. And maybe it's just bringing somebody else in that's really, but it's hard to find those particular guys. Detroit, lo and behold, they brought in the guru from the Pelicans that had turned a lot of those guys into good shooters. And guess what? The Pistons are shooting the ball a lot, but then they brought in some veterans. I mean, Malik is a sniper, and Tobias Harris has always been a pretty good shooter. So they brought in some guys like that. You and we got to talk about Tari and what he's meant to the starting lineup in a second. But I just want to remind everybody, again, let me hear what you guys think and get in the comments. And by the way, Texans fans, you're going to love my last show. Great chat with Houston Stressen's Garrett Williams. Tomorrow I'm posting a Vikings insider on new Texans, Cam Robinson and Ed Ingram. So look out for that. And don't forget to support us by subscribing on YouTube, giving us a thumbs up on each show. And you can listen on the go as well with your favorite podcast app. Okay, Bryson, the Rockets have won 10 straight since Tari entered the starting lineup. No way he's starting. I think when Amen returns, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be back to Amen. But if the Rockets don't make a splash offseason move, is there any chance you think he starts next year, or is Dylan and Van Vliet still locked in, assuming they get Van Vliet back and re-sign? I'm assuming they're going to, if they bring him back, it's going to be to a lesser contract. And then that's where the decision is Tari in the starting lineup over one of those guys?
I think so. 100%. What I like about the idea of Tari starting, the idea of Amen starting, is you'll have Amen starting, Dylan Brooks starting, Jalen Green starting, Tari Eason, and Şengün. That's a very big, tall, long, athletic lineup from 1 to 5. Even Şengün's athleticism, I believe, is just underrated. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say the term, but sneaky athletic, yes. I don't think he's sneaky athletic, though. I think he's absolutely athletic. Defensively, Tari Eason gives us a dynamic. What he does in the starting lineup, a lot of the things, they show up on the stat sheet, but they don't show up on the stat sheet. His ability to rebound, his ability to push the ball the full length of the floor, finish, make passes, make certain reads, even in a half court sometimes. Before he got hurt, he had like a little mid-range jumper that he was knocking down at a very nice clip. And then he went down, and then since he's come back, he hasn't quite found that touch that he had before the injury. But I definitely think that you could bring Fred back on a friendlier deal, more years, bring him off the bench, let him play that role that he played in Toronto, and let these young guys step up. Fred, your minutes can go down to 24 to 26 minutes. We can optimize your use, and then let the young guys carry the load. That just makes the most sense to me.
I agree. I mean, I'm absolutely on board with lesser role for Fred, and Fred's talked about he wants to come back potentially in a lesser role. I also want to point this out because I've heard Rockets fans, not all of them, but there's some people that occasionally jump on Tari for low IQ plays.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I want to remind just everybody that's watching Tari, he's only played 151 NBA games. That's less than 2 seasons. He's played about 3,450 minutes. That's just under 1/3 of the minutes Jalen's played. We've still been talking about low IQ stuff from Jalen in the last couple of years and getting rid of some of that sort of stuff. It's almost 3,000 minutes less than Jabari Smith. I mean, they came out in the same class, but 3,000 less minutes than Jabari Smith. Fans have gotten infatuated with age factoring into maturity. Tari's older. But Bryson, the NBA, it's a whole other speed than college or any other league. Tari deserves time to adjust and get out the bugs. Plus, the chaos he plays with, which is what makes him special, means he'll make more mistakes than most until he gets used to NBA speed.
That's a very valid point. You brought that up last time, and I have kind of changed my thought process a little bit because of that. When somebody brings a new perspective to the table, if it makes sense, I'm open to hearing it out. Like you said, he hasn't even played 2 full seasons yet. I looked at it right now. If you count this season with last season, he said 69 games. So, yeah, I mean, that's a very, very valid point. All in all, regardless of the IQ, regardless of whatever trepidations anybody might have about him being in the starting lineup, are they 10-3 this year? Or something like that, or 10-0 this year? I saw something crazy like that.
Yeah, it was the last 10 games that he started that they won.
10-0.
I mean, we have to factor in the opponents too. They've been playing recently. Obviously,
that's true.
They're not good, but yeah, he definitely has an incredible. I just love watching him. I mean, he's so fun and it's exciting, and the energy and the passion that he plays with, and he's just the best as far as like off the court. I mean, I can't imagine anybody saying they don't love Tari Eason that's been a Rockets fan. I mean, Tari has just been so much fun to watch. And
absolutely.
I also want to bring up one pet peeve for the Rockets, just as a team, Bryson. Can we get all these guys in the gym this summer and work on fast break drills?
Oh, man.
I have never seen an NBA team this poor at a routine break.
The Houston Rockets have lost, in my opinion, like 3 games off the top of my head. One was the Sacramento game, the most recent one when they had Zach LaVine, where they just completely left points on the board because they can't execute in a fast break. Whether that's Cam Whitmore and his tunnel vision trying to finish on a 103 fast break instead of pulling it out, whether that's Tari Eason doing that, whether even Amen Thompson, even though he's a little bit better at it, I trust him more. Dylan Brooks, sometimes he does it. These guys, it's like they get the ball in a fast break and they just see a tunnel. They see the rim and they see nothing else. And it's like, make the extra pass, even slow the ball down, run a set, but they don't do that. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's been something that has been bothering me for a long time. The Sacramento game sticks out in my head immediately when you said that. Immediately.
They don't sometimes get where they're supposed to as far as filling a lane. They don't understand that, hey, even if this guy looks like the one guy's going to beat the defender, if he misses, you better run as hard as you can because you got to follow it up in case he misses or the guy contests whatever. Yeah. And also it helps if you're running fast with the other guy regardless, because it just makes it so much easier to beat 2-on-1 than 1-on-1, because NBA athletes, there's some great ones out there that are going to make it hard for you just to make a layup in the open floor 1-on-1.
And you know what they also do? This is the other, you said you had a pet peeve about the fast break drills. In the fast break, they go 1-on-3 or 1-on-2. They somehow get the offensive rebound. Now the full Houston Rockets team is back, waiting for them to reset, and they try to go up. They get the rebound, they miss. They get the rebound again. They try to go up, and they miss. And then the other team finally gets the rebound. And it's like, pass the ball out. Reset. You're gonna get the ball back. It's like they have a fear or phobia of passing the ball out. And I've seen them do it. I've seen Tari actually get the ball and dribble out one time, and I was so relieved. I was like, he's finally learning, because that is a pet peeve. Like you said, that really is a pet peeve.
Well, that's just the Rockets, because somebody will get a rebound. He's got 2 or 3 guys around him.
Yes.
If you got 2 or 3 guys around you, somebody's wide open for a 3. The best 3-point shot is the kick out after a rebound, because guys are scrambling.
The only person I'm really comfortable with going up like that is Amen Thompson, because he could dunk on anybody from vertical. Like, he doesn't have to gather. He doesn't have to do a power dribble to get into his stuff. He could get the ball and just go back up like he's Zion Williamson. You know what I mean? So that's him. I feel like the most comfortable doing that. Tari, it would be second. But again, Tari, he goes up, he misses, he goes up, he misses, he goes up, he misses. Pass the ball out, man. That's all I want you to do. Just pass it out.
For Jabari Smith, love you, brother, but please stop dribbling the ball up the court on a fast break, or don't do it until you're much better at dribbling. Please.
He used to have the full court dribble walk-in three. He used to have that. He doesn't do that anymore at all. That was one of the few things he was better at that than catching and shooting. Like the first 2 years with Silas, or the first year with Silas, he would dribble, he would get the ball, dribble the full length of the floor, pull up into a three. I actually liked that shot. I was like, oh, he's pretty consistent at that. But
yeah, he did that at Auburn too.
Yeah, he did that at Auburn, but it's like you don't see that a lot. And yes, you're right. Please get the ball, find somebody to get a ball to, because I mean, I would rather see Sengun dribble the ball up the court.
No question. Yeah, I agree. That's super frustrating, and that's something that's just like basketball 101. It's like get the guys together in the offseason, work on it. I mean, I feel like they need a coach there somehow with them. I don't know if one of the coaches would be willing to just hang out there with them, but obviously they sent a coach to Turkey with Sengun, so I would assume that would be all well and good. Just want to remind everybody he's at Red Nation Blogga on X. Any final thoughts, Bryson, on the Rockets or what you guys going on over there at Red Nation Blogga?
No. Honestly, I just want to tell everybody this in the Rockets community: have faith in this team going into the playoffs. Let's focus less on who we need to avoid or who should we be afraid of, and more so on how they got to deal with the Houston Rockets, more so than how the Houston Rockets have to deal with them. And subscribe to my channel, please. Red Nation Blogger. Y'all see it at the top right there. Red Nation Blogger. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Do that too. Appreciate you taking the time as always. Thanks for doing this in a busy basketball week. I know people out there watching March Madness. So thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, man. Anytime, man. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me.
You're listening to Houston Sports Talk.
Hey, don't forget to support us by subscribing and commenting on YouTube. You can always listen to us on Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcast app. Tell your friends about us and share our show links on social media. Spread the word, everybody. Thanks for listening.